Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Technology Show, where our experts translate geek into regular speak. How do you feel about mixed reality versus virtual reality? And what are your thoughts? Gadgets or games? And where exactly are you on the battlefield of Windows versus Apple? Stay tuned for our special geek guests. And now, it's over to our Techsperts.
Hey, it's that time. Welcome to the Technology Show, where we translate geek
into regular speak.
What's up, Aryeh Sternberg?
Quite a bit. It's, got to mention it.
This weekend you had a special treat about weather. Saturday morning, weekend. 4 a.m, you got up.
It was the blood moon.
Yeah.
Kate
was jealous, man.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
like, should get up. I was like, mate, you only went to bed 2 hours before that.
Like, it was actually very interesting, and we had to hike around a bit to find a good spot, but
you just had to look up.
You did.
It was in the sky.
No, but like it was like we're watching the moon. It's like the clouds were half the sky was clear, but the clouds were covering the moon. And then when it finally got to the blood moon, it was like, okay, there's there.
I was just thinking, you had to find a good spot. Up.
Yeah.
Look,
no, it's one of those ones where you set for something in the middle of the night and you're just like, you know what, screw it, I'm not going to do it. But this time, Marcy and I got up, we did it, took some photos, got some little video clips, and
I know, we saw. As I said, Kate was jealous. She was like, oh man, it was really a blood moon. I was like, yeah, that's the name.
Most importantly,
it wasn't called the blue moon or the pink moon or
no, it was a blood moon. And I think more importantly, we're still here, so the world didn't end as it was supposed to be. So
well, I mean, could you imagine if there was no more Technology Show? What would 1,000 of people do? So straight into it. App of the week.
App of the week. I'm
leaving this one up to you, man. I'm totally lost on this app, so you just take it. It's your turn this week.
There's a few reasons why you and I might be a bit lost. First of all, it's definitely not targeting our generation or our age range. This is Tik Tok, Tiktok, also known as Douyin in Chinese, and it literally means vibrato short video. Now, this is basically the Chinese version of the latest iteration of what we knew as Vine. It's a short video platform. You can record a video up to 60 seconds. There are an infinite number of music soundtracks you can automatically put with the music. It's got AR filters for different, additions to the
So is
video.
this Snapchat and Vine going off for a dirty weekend behind the great big wall?
Kind of, except for it's less Snapchat and more Vine/YouTube because it's.
Was there a little bit of Meerkat inside there? Maybe a bit of Periscope?
No live.
No,
as far as I know, no live. It's strictly a content. But the reason why I felt that it's worthy of App of the Week, 500 million monthly active users. Not a small number. It's had 45.8 million downloads since the first quarter of 2018.
That's just Android. Or is that global?
Global. And it's at 150 million daily active users. First number. Second is that this is one of the first apps that was launched in China, came out to the rest of the world, and has been adopted by international
Don't use
users.
it, people. The Chinese are spying on you.
They might be spying on you.
They're going to influence the next presidential election, and we're going to have something else. So I must be honest, the thing that put me off on it was 128 meg download.
Yep.
That's massive. For a video filtering site. What's Snapchat size? Just as a matter of interest. On the size of it, on the download side.
I
don't know what the reason why it was so big. That's what I'm trying to get to. Like, what's inside that app?
So what's inside is when you create, you've got access to tons of soundtracks, and it's got more snap filters, more AR filters than Snapchat at any given time. So you're downloading all this content to be able to engage with it.
162 megs Snapchat. So 128 is not big.
Not too bad.
Okay.
And I think what's really just interesting is if you go on there and look at the content, you would say, oh, well, look, it looks like it's mostly Chinese users. Maybe. But then look at and flip through, and you'll see that the bulk of the videos you're looking at are actually filmed in Australia. So it's got local content coming in for local users.
How did you find it? I'm actually scared to hear the answer to that.
No, it showed up. Actually, someone just actually
Shall
showed
we go?
No. Someone just recommended it to me. Who introduced me to it? Can't remember who. They were like, "Look, you need to check out this app because it's blowing up everywhere." And the reason why is you and I aren't going to see it because it's targeting 14 to 25-year-olds.
That's why I'm concerned that you found this app.
Ask Cade. Ask Cade.
So you're showing me a picture of a cat now with like orange eyes. Cool. So, in order to be app of the week, it can't just be on number of downloads and that. I mean, let's be honest. Facebook's got a gazillion billion downloads, and I think they suck. So
fastest growing app in 2018.
All right. And UI UX? Yes. No.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So,
easy to use.
Is it intuitive though? I mean, you open it, you know what to use straight away?
Absolutely. You're swiping, you're flicking up to get to the next content. There's no lag. Favoriting, etc. You've got hashtags, you've got groups. It's very easy to target content to people. I'd suggest any listeners, and this includes you, Brett.
I tried.
Cade, download the app because producing content on here that is actually going to be sticky and fun and easy to share on app and out, it's much better to produce content than Snapchat or Facebook or Instagram. And remember, you can now post external content onto Instagram.
Yeah.
So producing content in Snapchat, which people do, is meh.
Yeah.
New
New
filters. Try
so
it.
TikTok, TikTok.
That's it.
TikTok.
Next up is Tech News with a Z for Americana.
Z. Actually, I'm going to give you the Z's because you've spent the entire week doing presentations and overviews for clients, and I've been grammar Nazing you. Okay, very good, but still a Z, still a Z, still a S. Cool. So, in Tech News with a Z, it pains me to say this, the mighty Apple has fallen to third place. Huawei just grabbed number 2 on the mobile for the last quarter. So Samsung's won, which always has been. Not always, but for a while. And I think we got to put it on the back of the iPhone 10, right? The sales weren't where they wanted it to be. I mean, they still did like 42 million handsets. It wasn't like it failed.
No.
But in this quarter, it just wasn't enough. Huawei just took number 2.
This quarter is enough, for Apple to actually maintain the position it's in, considering the global consumption and size of certain markets, aka China. It competes very, very well, and Apple did not let anyone down, at least in the phone space, or laptops maybe not, but in the phone space, the iPhone 10 is delivered.
I was going to say, you see, here's the fanboy. September's the announcement. So it's also probably why phones are down. No one's going to buy now. We don't know what's coming.
I've heard there's 3 new phones, a little bit upgraded. Got the iPhone 10 Plus. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, let's see.
With the hashtag notch.
Hey, man, everyone's copying the notch at the moment.
It's true. Well, what else are you going to do, right?
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm going to just have one more quick one here as well. Obviously, the government listens to our show because My Health Record, we gave them a bit of a bash last week. They obviously listen because they're doing a major revamp. Now, too many people are opting out. So they've now clarifying what data will and won't be available and what will be involved to get your data. So you're not going to just be able to go and get someone's data like we all thought you would. Well, that's what they tell us. I'm still opted out. I'm still staying opted out. But apparently the numbers of opt-outs have just been really significant. So Canberra had a little bit of a wobble. So, yeah, let's watch that space.
This is the conversation we had before about who gets to see what data
Correct.
and what happens with it. Yeah,
so they must have listened to our show, right? I mean, the whole of Canberra probably was just tuned in.
We definitely influenced that one.
100%.
On the AI front, you've got, there's a concern about jobs being lost, right?
Yep.
So there's a bank in Sweden, Nordea Bank AB, which is cutting 6,000 jobs because their AI platform is doing better trading and increasing value better than humans can do.
Yeah, but we've said this before. We're not about how to find ways to put humans out of work. But if we're not going to be efficient and the machines can do better jobs. I mean, we were at Ad Week today. Well, it's this week, right?
Yeah.
And one of the keynotes was the guy from Google talking about machine learning. And they showed the video of how they've trained the machine to look at melanomas to see if they got cancer cells in them or not, lymph nodes or whatever it was.
Yep.
And they showed how long it takes a doctor to study each cell to decide if there is or isn't a cancer present. Now, there's two problems with that. One, the time, okay? You could have cancer, and time is critical to solve it. And two, it's a human, which means it's got the propensity for error. Here, the machine's been trained. It's got an algorithm. It scans through it. The algorithm checks everything supersonically. And then all the human has to do is check the algorithm afterwards. So spot check it.
Yep.
If it comes back and says, we've detected cancer in cells number 1, 2, and 3, the human can then look at it and make that decision. Or send the person for a biopsy. But we can't just sit back on our seats. And speak of which, Cam, you got a nice comfortable seat there, mate. You can't just sit back on your seat and think your job's secure, because there could be a machine that replaces you.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think what it comes down to is...
Not you, Cam. We like you.
No, Cam's going to have his job. But in this case, jobs from the range of asset management and very, specific skill-based to answering the phone.
Yep.
I think we're going to talk later about assistants versus bots. And
yes.
We build bots,
yes.
right? And assistants. And so in that space, we have to ask the question of what is it that we humans need to do. And I think the argument's always been, we just need to change what it is we do. What is it that humans do that's different? It's the addition of creativity and, spontaneity and that sort of intuition that can't come from a machine learning background.
Sure. I've got two stories, but they're both about Facebook, so I'm going to go treat them as one, and then I'm kind of wrapped up on tech news with a Z. So the good part of Facebook is Facebook will now allow you to tell them, who you don't want in the promo videos. You get those videos that were like Friends Day or summer or winter or whatever, and it always takes like pictures and clips and makes a video. Apparently there have been a lot of complaints for two reasons. One, you're in a new relationship and there's a picture of you with your tongue down your ex's throat, and that appears on all your pages to everyone. Kind of just doesn't sit well.
This new thing that's coming, this new trend.
Yeah.
It's
and
gross.
The second one is someone could have passed away and you don't really want to see that memory. It might still be a bit fresh. So they're going to allow you to actually go in and put the handles of who you don't want to appear in those type of automatic generated videos.
Right.
And then I'm pleased to say that Facebook has lost 124 billion and the Zuckerberg 16 billion out of his own pocket. And their CFO is saying there's more to come.
I think that number's up to 168 billion.
Nice. I'm not going to keep it quiet. I think the world might be a better place without them. They've come, they've done, they've been evil, and maybe it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Maybe we've got TikTok to replace them.
Well, and that's the question of, Facebook is the place where people say, that's where their parents go. Seriously. Humans,
so do employers, so do pedophiles. I mean, all kinds go there, right?
They do. But humans have a less than 7-second attention span, which is less than the goldfish. And so you need to be able to have that quick action.
Yeah.
And just what you're scrolling on your Facebook feed, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Instagram is good for a reason because you can flip through very quickly and just see pictures. You don't have to read anything. You just kind of go through it.
Well, that's why I miss Vine. If I wanted to be entertained, I could be entertained in 6 seconds.
Absolutely.
It was just enough. You only have to watch the guy fall in his face. You don't have to watch before and after, just falling on the face. So I'm glad I don't own Facebook shares and I really don't care about them. But yeah.
So we'll have to get our friend Chris Muir from AdBitX on the show again at Google
Waves
Radio.
He was like number one.
He was number one.
And our very, very, very first.
That's it.
Yeah.
Tell
me why.
In I believe it was in Quebec, the Canadian shopping center was caught secretly tracking shoppers' age and gender using facial recognition technology.
No.
Now this isn't new because Chris and I did a test back in News Corp. It's dodged when it comes out that it was secretly tracking.
Yeah, that's a bit. That's like you feel dirty, man.
It just feels gross.
And what happens like when you're in the change rooms and that, and you're like,
where's this information
where's the cam?
going? Exactly. But the thing is that shopping centers are doing it. If you walk up in Chatswood, you see the out-of-home billboards with a little camera on it. They're doing it as well. We know Chris can do it.
Yeah.
So
he did it ages ago.
Ages ago. We did it 3-4 years ago testing it. So the capability of facial recognition to the extent of actually recognizing individuals. I mean, look at Facebook. It says, is this your friend? Like confirm. Or if you go into Google Photos and you see, it makes recommendations. Is this person the same person, right? From different angles and stuff like that. So it's crazy. The only other bit of news I've got, which is a little bit different, is worms frozen in permafrost for 42,000 years have been thawed and come back to life, and they're eating.
Fantastic.
Now,
can they thaw me in thermofrost for 42,000 and bring me back?
The thing that scares me is, what did they eat 42,000 years ago, and what is in that what they can eat now, or what might come out of them that wasn't meant to be around for us in this space? You know, I'm talking about the permafrost going down to a level.
So you mean like
germs,
a
disease,
superbug?
Some superbug, exactly. And they're coming out and thawing these things. Like, hello, zombie
no
apocalypse.
wonder you wake up early in the morning, man. You've got worms in your brain from
Seriously.
thermofrost. I just want to be thermofrozen now, because that's quite exciting. I can come back in I'd like to come back in about 2120, like another 100 years from now, because probably pretty awesome, or freaking Mad Max, like nothing left.
Yeah.
But I'll quite happy to take that chance.
Now, the only other call out I want to make
we got someone making smoothies in the coffee shop.
Smoothie action.
Yep.
Internet of Things, which we haven't heard a lot about recently.
Yeah.
The hip brand, which is haven't heard about in a while, Tommy Hilfiger.
Oh, God. Nothing hip about him.
Trackers in the clothes, rewarding you for wearing its smart clothes. So you
that's
go
cool.
around, get tracked, earn
that's cool.
points, share.
It's
something
not unique. Levi's did something like that
no.
years ago.
It isn't, and our friends at Solos have the technology, but
yeah.
it's one of those things where there's a word around. It's like you showed me that Cheetos app. Prisma.
That was cool. We might need to make that app of the week, because it's just cheesy, right?
Absolutely. Well, look, was it Flamin' Hot Cheetos? That was my go-to snack for years and years in college.
I think that's a stoner's go-to snack forever and a day.
Dude,
I mean,
they're so spicy
Cheetos
you can't stop eating them.
You don't think that's on purpose, right? And you have to chase it down with
purpose,
Pepsi,
man.
which they own as well.
And then your fingers get all red, and your lips are all red, and you're just like, oh my God.
I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, tech news with a Z, hey?
Nice.
All right.
Cool.
Brett,
yes.
It's happened again.
I know.
I don't know
Bang,
where I
bang.
was 10 years ago, but today it's time for...
The A and B split test.
That's it.
Yay.
So
this is a fun one.
Why?
Well, we're going to do chatbots versus the virtual assistant.
And when you first brought this up to me, I was like, what's the difference? And I was like, duh. You just did.
I was quite shocked when he was
Yeah.
like, hold on a second.
I had to think about it for a sec.
But that's what makes it a great A
Yep.
and B split, because people probably do put them into the same bucket.
Well, I think, there are plenty of people out there that have engaged with an AI assistant and didn't even realize it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So let's just quickly do the high level between a chatbot and a virtual assistant.
Sure.
The chatbot is something you'll find on DM on Twitter or Facebook Messenger, or just when you go to a website and you get that little window that pops up that goes, "Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm here to help." And it's not really Andrew, and it's just an algorithm. And you type to it, and it types back, and it says to you, "I'm sorry, I'm going to have to check on that." And you go, "Are you a bot?" And it goes, "No, I'm a human being." No human being would say that. So that's a chatbot. It's a little piece of script that you can have a quick conversation with, to hopefully get you down a garden path to an end result. For cars, you want to buy a new car, used car. Do you want to buy a family car or a sports car, and so on. You'd use the bot. The virtual assistant is different in that, and this is not Hey Google or OK Siri or any of the other things. So this is an assistant.
So you got to be careful there.
Yes.
Because when you look on the internet, search on Google, AI assistant comes up Siri,
Really?
Google Voice,
AI
Alexa.
assistant, but we're talking about virtual assistants.
Virtual assistant, but they get into the space where you can actually program them to do
So
those
can we
things
do
for
the
you.
A, B, and C split today? So the C would be where the AI assistant comes into. But where I was thinking with the virtual assistant was, remember Amy?
Absolutely.
Amy AI?
Yeah.
So virtual assistant, by my understanding, is when you get an email that sets up a meeting with you, or you get a calendar invite. No human generated that. It was a machine that read your diary and sent out an email. Now, I was one of the first people to use Amy AI.
in South Africa.
No, globally. In fact, she
okay.
wasn't even in South Africa. I reached out to Dennis. His name is Dennis. I will
Yeah.
tag him up on the on the notes. And I got one of the early beta accesses. And it was the most amazing thing, because Amy would send out an invite and go, "Hey, Aryeh, Brett wants to have a meeting with you at 3 o'clock, blah, blah, blah." And then Aryeh's assistant would phone and ask to speak to Amy. And like, there's no Amy working here. Because they wanted to change the meeting time. So that's my understanding of a virtual assistant. So as opposed to an artificial intelligence assistant.
So virtual assistant, if we can categorize it, is locked into really scheduling.
Yes,
that's
correct.
A space.
And I think that's why I'm saying where they're different between a chatbot, because a chatbot can do anything. It can play in any realm. It could even do a schedule, but the assistant is designed purely for your schedule, your diary. The AI assistant.
So there's a difference here, though, because the likes of Amy, I interact with one called Evie, had a very similar experience, except for I was on the receiving end, and I had a conversation with Evie thinking it was a real person.
It's actually pretty cool.
Because they can actually respond. And so there is simple AI built in where it's looking for certain keywords and certain responses. There is either some semblance of natural language understanding and processing and actually generation, so it can write and respond in multiple languages at this point. But then you've also got the tree diagram, which you described before, which is if you see this kind of content, then do this, right?
Yep.
Now the blurry line is where you get bots like Avra or Radmus's bot, which can learn.
Hello, Penny. Hello, Ed.
Right, so you can learn and interact in a natural language conversation, and it can actually go back, read from infinite scripts, right? And then respond with what is going to be the most likely response that makes sense. And that can be tailored into the virtual assistant space where it's acting as a scheduler for you, like a secretary.
So, for the listeners, because we translate geek into regular speak, if you're going to have a pre-planned with non-choice except for A or B, then you use the chatbot tree diagram flow to get someone from A to B as quickly as they can by taking them through questions. But if you actually need to interact, then you need the virtual assistant with artificial intelligence. I was just thinking about what you're saying. I do remember Amy doing that as well, actually, because what you would do is you would set her up and say, if someone says drinks, then choose this place, and you would fill in that place. I had my favorite bar. If someone said coffee, then fill in that place. If someone says food, if it's morning here, if it's afternoon there, and if it's evening there. So you gave her tools so that she could still write in natural language and say, hey, Aryeh, Brett's asked for drinks. So that's what would happen. I would send an email to Amy. I'd say, hey, Amy, please and copy you. Please send in a meeting request to Aryeh for lunch. That's all. And then she would send you a thing saying, Brett would like to have lunch with you at Sando Bar, which is on the corner of Commonwealth Street, blah, blah, blah. Can you make it? And there was the time on the date. And you would say, actually, I can't. What about Wednesday? And then she would reply and say, I've checked in Brett's diary. Wednesday's fine.
Yep.
Sweet. Here's the invite. So there definitely is intelligence, or artificial intelligence, but intelligence.
So for those of you out there, Brett mentioned Amy. The other one we mentioned is Evie. It's evie.ai. Zoom has a built-in virtual assistant.
I battled with that one, man.
It's clunky and it's
it
painful.
Is. Yeah, I turned it off.
If you as Brett was saying before, if you're looking on Google, search for virtual assistant, and because AI assistant will give you the typical Google Voice, Siri, etc.
I mean, here again, I have to give kudos to Google, and you'll probably disagree with me and say that even Amazon's better. Look, let me start at the bottom. Apple's last.
Me?
Yeah.
Google's top as far as I'm concerned.
Because Siri sucks.
Alexa's painful.
Amazon, I think has really good natural language learning and processing. She thinks a bit better, but that's based on skills. But hands down for me, Google wins every time. In fact, I go, hey Siri, open Google. That's what I do. Then my phone's just turned on, so that I can actually then ask Google, because I couldn't be bothered with Siri.
Yeah.
You know? And if they ever start finding us for abusing virtual assistants, there's so many demerit points coming my way, because I've called Siri things that I probably shouldn't kiss my mother with the same mouth.
I after maybe once yelling at Alexa, I realized that the possibility of a bite back.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't want. It's if there is someone listening, it's somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. I'm actually was waiting for that response. Like, do you kiss your mother with that mouth? Because that's how Siri got lambasted by me. So A and B.
That's it.
Done. Extended reality. Dun dun dun. Where are we going today, man? AR or VR first, or XR? I don't know.
start with the AR.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
stick
you
to
got?
things. So, Game Studio Binary Banana has developed a smartphone app
Just
that lets users...
red meat games
yeah,
and
well, I'm just
binary
making sure
banana.
that you don't... This isn't something we've already talked about. They have a game that allows you to manage all of your smart home automation in one place. It's a smart AR home, and it's connected with
cool.
the Samsung Smart Things and Philips Hue products. But basically, and it is both iOS and Android.
So you're using AR so in other words, you'd see a virtual button to turn on your thermostat.
That's right. So you
That's
set,
cool.
you set
now
buttons around the house.
We were talking about this last week or on LinkedIn the other day. Don't use a tech for tech's sake. Use a tech for good sake.
Yeah.
That's cool. That I like. But now do you need hardware for that? So you need that smart home, the Samsung Smart Home hub.
Samsung Smart Things, yeah.
Smart
you
Things
do
hub.
need the hub.
You need the hub,
Yeah,
obviously.
you do need the hub, so you can integrate with
But
that.
you don't need a remote, and you don't need to use a device. You can actually
No.
use the AR.
You still need your phone to hang up and
Yeah,
find the
but
buttons
think about
and
where
click
this is
them.
going, right? If you put a HoloLens on,
Yeah, glasses,
so then
of course.
you bought glass,
Yeah, no.
so you'll be
that's
able to,
the-
and that's imminent. I mean, we've seen glass coming out every week. Someone else is doing something else in that space. Speaking of which, Magic Leap this weekend was all over the news, which means I'm gonna go out there and say that I would assume by the end of this week or early next week they're gonna finally announce their launch, because they haven't launched in 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is. We're actually going to see product. We're going to see something coming out of Magic Leap.
So you can get the pre-orders for developer kits have been out.
Developer kits.
Yep.
I'm talking
And
about us normal subhumans.
We won't. They're not. We haven't seen because no hardware's gone out
Correct.
yet. So we won't see anything yet.
That's what I'm saying. They have been all over the news. They've been talking about their OS. They've been talking about their update. They've been talking about what was the other thing? I reckon we're going to see a consumer version like now, just before Apple.
I'll bet you on
And
that.
I'm going to say,
I'll bet you on that. I don't think we'll see a consumer version in this year.
Okay.
2018, we will not see a consumer
I'm
version.
going to take that bet, and I'll tell you why. I've got a feeling that September for the Apple launch, we're going to see a Magic Leap Apple integration thingy-majiggy-jobby stuff. I don't know what the bet is. We've never actually had a bet where we've had
No, there could be A and B split test on it, but the reason why is because Apple will never get in bed with Magic Leap.
well, maybe they're getting ready to steal Apple's thunder. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah.
But they were all over. That was my AR find that I was quite excited about, because we've been following Magic Leap, well, since they died. And now all of a sudden there's just tons of news. The other little thing I have in AR, which is because actually I wanted to know if you've ever seen something like this before, because I think I have. The students at the Savannah College of Art and Design, SCAD, have created new AR greeting cards dubbed Kinetic cards, and they're created because you can now have an AR card with sounds and stuff on. This isn't news, is it? Haven't we seen like augmented reality cards and stuff, like even cereal boxes and shit that do it? I don't know. I just didn't think it was news.
I don't see it as being news,
Yeah.
considering that we've got multiple platforms.
No, that's what I thought, right?
Well, AR and AR Kit, I've actually got 2 different apps on my phone where I can actually create AR content and either sync it to a space or engage with it. So I would say no.
Okay.
But I mean, look, if they can make money out of it and they can get to market, cool.
You know, it's a student, so I'm not going to kick her in the teeth. Her name was Chrissy something, but I just don't see it being news. Because we're in XR, and I was saying I was at Adweek, I met with Nick de la Force today and his team. They were doing the HoloLens. And so it was so cool. It's like, yo, you need to put this on, you need to adjust. I'm like, mate, I've immersed you. I'm fully proficient. I just want to see what you're showing. The thing that I really, 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 really liked about HoloLens, new love for HoloLens, and yes, I know it's Microsoft, was browser. And the fact that you can then bring all the tabs out. So like, you know how we sit now, we have our extended screen. Now you can sit there on your wall and have multiple tabs and you're just looking. That I enjoyed. I thought that was pretty zhuzh. And I do have to say I love their Surface Pro big iMac-y looking thing that was on display there.
Surface Pro Studio.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I didn't know what the name was, but yeah, that was pretty zhuzh. But anyway, we'll get Nick on the show.
It is. The only thing I'm going to say left over on AR is, we've kind of complained or sort of poked fun at Pokemon Go, and there has been a few refreshes, but their actual use of AR, putting down characters into space, actually anchoring them in space, as well as the idea of occlusion, which we spoke before about being able to put
in front or behind.
In front or behind, yeah. It is quite decent. So if you were a fan, you got annoyed by the quality of the AR, play it again. What's interesting, though, from what I've read, is that the hardcore players of Pokemon Go don't go into AR.
No, they just played in real world.
They just played in in
which is quite
Pokemon
funny,
Go
actually.
game. Yeah, so.
But look, let's also be honest. Niantic has got a huge war chest behind it, and they focused on that genre. They haven't gone and tried all other kinds of weird and wonderful things. So, it just shows when you actually stick to what you're supposed to do it well, then you'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm going to move to VR. I thought this was incredibly exciting, but Google Chrome is now on Daydream. I was just talking about like HoloLens with the browser. So now you'll be able to do Chrome on Daydream. So you'll actually be able to immerse, well, semi-immerse, but have a web experience. To me, that was, I thought it was quite cool. You got anything on VR?
I do.
What you got?
I always like to look at things that are done locally. Dementia Australia has developed a VR experience for professional carers to experience the world through the eyes of people living with dementia.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So
we need to find those people and get them on the show. That's cool.
Yeah.
So what do they do? They actually put them into like frustrating situations? Or
So you get situations where they make it that you can't actually remember where objects are. They change the color. They change.
Oh man!
You're sitting in a room. You can see the details. In real life, you go in there. You can't see the details of things.
That's cool. That's
and so it's
good
understanding.
use of VR. So you actually learn a little bit of empathy as well.
Absolutely. Where's my toothbrush? That kind of a thing.
Or you've got a Bluetooth brush, but now it's green. Nice. I do like that. If we need to track them down, see if we can get them on the show. Mine's not as exciting, man. The National Chicken Council of the United States has made 3 360 videos showing the stages of chicken life. You get to see the chickens, their lives, and how they get to the table. All I have to say to that, man, is who's got the Tabasco? It's like the chicken life. In VR.
I wasn't going to add this, but I'm going to add this because I just want to make sure that people know that we're a little bit cultured here at Techknowledgy. Geometry Prague, the Leo Tinka Foundation, and the National Gallery of Prague are using VR to help the visually impaired see well-known artworks for the first time. So they're using VR and using the different layers of haptic feedback, 1,024 different varieties of vibration to be able to actually touch objects of art.
That's cool.
And see what it feels like, yeah.
So like how you'd feel a sculpture, now they're taking the picture and bringing it into almost layers so that which will have haptic feedback.
That's it.
So it has depth to a picture.
Yeah,
that's actually quite cool.
Different bumps, different
I go
shades
depth
of stuff.
like this in the air, no one can see, like inverted commas depth. It's not really depth.
Yeah.
You were talking about training. My last one that I have is the UK Royal Mail are training posties using VR to deal with aggressive dogs on their route. Apparently 40 attacks happen a week where dogs try and bite posties. So they're immersing them to show them like what to do. I don't know if that means jump over the gate or carry meat or something, but it's still a different use of VR. You know what I mean? Because it's got to be quite scary the first time you walk into a garden and there's this Rottweiler waiting to eat you to pieces. And all you're trying to do is deliver someone's new toy.
We are yet again at the bottom of the hour, and we have a special guest. Every guest is special, but this week we have a guest who's close to our hearts in the space of VR. Is going to be talking about some of the future of what we're going to be coming to you right now.
So who have we got?
Tell us.
Hello.
Who are you?
Who are you?
Why are you
I
here?
I just thought you were here because you were hanging in the coffee
There's
shop.
this guy just hanging out in the room, right?
I'm literally a fly on the wall. I was just
there
listening
we
to
go.
you guys and the rest of the show. Great content, guys.
Thank you.
This is Puya. I'm the CEO of Visospace. We are a VR startup in Australia,
Nice.
building the interface for the future. Really, that's the best way to put it.
Now, I got to briefly see some of the tech. Your company's Visospace. Visospace, sorry. Where were we? Where we saw it was with Rick and the board.
CeBIT.
It was at CeBIT, that's
Yes,
right.
yes.
Were you in the startup academy of
we were
CeBIT?
at the
Or
startup
the pitch academy? Or
Not in that side. They were back kind of towards the back end with some
Yeah,
of the VR.
definitely
people.
saw because we were walking
Yeah, yeah.
through.
You walk through and you didn't have enough time to do a demo, so you'll definitely get a demo this week. But that was a really interesting experience because we were there for 3 days and tons of people came through and got to not only experience what we're doing, but a lot of them were doing VR for the first time.
It's
and
amazing that, huh?
It is amazing because we've done about 500 or more demos on our technology, and more than half of them have been to people that haven't done VR. So quite often they're experiencing virtual reality and our technology at the same time, and they frankly don't know the difference.
Well, I just want to step in real quick because a lot of people, we've talked about XR extensively, and one of the things that really breaks the norm of what we talk about with VR is, we talk about cardboard as the entry level, which pretty much no one should be using anymore. Gear VR and Daydream, and now Oculus Go, which are sort of 3 degrees of freedom with some mobility, and then full VR, with 6 degrees of freedom where you can move around, go up and down, vertical, it's everything. And what you guys have done with the hoverboard is translate a 3 degrees of freedom experience into a full-fledged
I was about to jump in there and say we haven't even said what Visospace is.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
you're talking about the hoverboard, you're like giving away the magic sauce.
Well, actually, I mean, if I can just jump on that and say a little bit about what we do, I'll talk about the hoverboard in a minute.
Okay.
But really, our passion and drive is to make VR a reality for everyone, right?
Yep.
Right now, we're really at the embryonic stage. I know it's been around for 20 years, all that stuff, but we are at the 8-bit computer phase of VR.
It's quite a good description.
What we talk about VR and AR, you mentioned the HoloLens before, the Oculus Go, all this stuff, they're really not going to be what's going to be around in 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? I think you'll agree. I think we're going to see a convergence of all these technologies because they're built on the same backbone. Immersive computing platforms are really what we're talking about here. And we're going to be wearing these, and we're going to be using these in our lives to make us superhumans. In the same way that we are kind of connected to our phones right now. And ironically, when people who don't really know or understand immersive technologies, or particularly in VR, and they go, oh, it's an isolating tool, it locks you away. I think it's the reverse is true. Right now, the most isolating tool we have is our phones. You see people like having dinner together and they're on their phones. That's terrible. Yeah. Right? And what immersive...
It's every single household in the world.
That's right. And what immersive technologies do is enhance reality for us.
Yep.
That's why XR is a decent term. We haven't settled on what we should call all this stuff, and there's going to be a war on words. But the guys at Visospace, our team, we're all passionate human-machine interface people. We believe that a good interface between humans and machines make better humans and better machines.
Yep.
And so ultimately, virtual reality, extended reality, all this stuff are an extension of that. The way we relate to digital content and back into the real world needs to be made really well, otherwise it's not going to be useful.
You said something interesting before, and I think before you talk about the exact experience people have, that idea that we're all isolated and we're all going into our own little matrix world. I think the movie Ready Player One, while it didn't necessarily hit what it could have been.
Yeah.
Anyone who's read
the book was better.
The book or Snow Crash or any number of books is that VR allows us to connect in a way that we couldn't connect because of distance, but B, we can see each other, we can experience being with each other, we can do things that as human beings we are limited to do.
Absolutely.
Outside of not just the laws of physics, but just the laws of imagination.
Absolutely. Like this stage of our technology, the last 50 years, we think, for us who've been, maybe we're in our 30s or 40s, it seems like a long time, but it's a blip in history. And I actually personally believe that computers and iPhones and tablets, they're not going to be remembered.
I agree 100%.
They're a snapshot.
100%.
What's going to be remembered is our transition from lonely sentient beings to a connected world.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the the Gutenberg press or whatever it was called.
Yeah,
when we
Gutenberg,
we sit here, we go, oh my god, they made books like that with these blocks, You can see the kids in 20. That's why I want to be a worm stuck in your nuclear icing thing.
I just hope you don't get thawed and then find yourself that you're the only guy in the world. That would be really
That's
bad.
what I'm saying, that could happen, right? 100 years from now. But like in 2020, they're going to turn around and say, oh my God, our grandparents had phones.
Yeah,
How
that's
primitive.
right.
Like they held something.
Yeah.
You know?
We learn a lot from the computer revolution, and we see this as the next phase of that. And you look at the way that, you mentioned Apple before. I think, maybe it wasn't you. Apple.
And I always mention Apple.
You always
I'm the Apple guy.
Every
But the story of Apple is very relevant to what's happening now, because what Apple did was they took existing technology and they made it accessible to people.
And awesome.
And awesome. And
You're welcome to come back to the show anytime you
No,
want.
look, I'm not going to disagree. They made it sexy.
And they didn't invent the mouse. They didn't invent the touch screen.
They
What
actually
did was
didn't invent much. Let's be honest.
Exactly, and you don't need to, right? And,
Yeah.
and I've tied that back into what we're doing. So what they did was they facilitated the right type of experience and interaction with the digital space, and that made it easy initially for students and office workers to adopt computer technology. Later, with the advent of the internet, then your parents got on the internet, right? You mentioning before the parents on Facebook. That wasn't possible until all these things fell into place, and so
Cam's on Facebook.
the same
Cam's on
thing.
Facebook.
The same thing's gonna happen with VR. Right now, it's really for the enthusiasts, people who are willing to put up with the friction of putting the headsets on, all this stuff. What's gonna happen is that once we fix the friction problem of putting these devices on, fix the interaction problem, and then bring the web into it. When you just mentioned Chrome on Daydream, right? You're still talking about basically a big screen. It's still a 2D experience. The web should be immersive. You should want to know about the Taj Mahal and actually go there and maybe just watch its construction in real time or in history. Imagine how much faster you can learn about the world.
Do you see what do they call them, the body hack, the superhumans, as a reality in the future? So
Yeah.
no more phones, no more headsets. We'll have an implant in our eye. We'll have a processor in our hand because that gives us
Absolutely.
haptic and tactile.
And you know what, Brett? This is the only way that humans can survive
I'm all for it, man.
the AI revolution, right?
Yeah, I'm all
If
for
we
it.
are not
know.
hybrids, if we don't become hybrids with machines, the machines will get smarter than us and find no use for us, right? So what we
Neural
have to do is build that use in now. We have
Can
to
you
be symbiotic.
imagine the religious people listening to this show?
I'm sorry,
we-
religious people.
I
I'm
know,
not,
no.
I'm not a religious person. So.
What are you going to do?
But I'm just saying, though, you're
if you can't beat
100%
it, join
right,
them.
though, because everyone's fearing the machines, but they keep forgetting we created them. And it's like the car. No one will walk from here to Melbourne. No one will fly,
Yeah.
or we'll drive, or catch a train or a bus. We'll use some form of transport. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, we used horses.
Yeah.
And 100 years before that, we used maybe donkeys or camels, or I don't know. But the point is, we've never ever walked. We had the ability to, but we didn't because it's stupid. So we've built all these awesome machines. Why not integrate with them?
Yeah.
Why not let them become part of us instead of them taking over us?
Yeah.
That way, the machines aren't winning. We're just
We're tagging each other along.
correct.
And we're becoming.
I'm all for it. If
Yeah.
you told me you could put something in my iris that would let me see 20 kilometers away or be able to
Yeah.
read content without actually having to look at a screen, why not?
That's right.
So at CeBIT, when I walked up, there was an older woman of Asian descent who was experiencing Visospace, the hoverboard
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And,
Did you watch it? You watching it from the outside?
It was
She loved it.
your typical first
She was a
time
grandma.
VR experience, a grandma, and she
Yeah.
just she couldn't even control the hoverboard. She was just in there like, oh my, you know, that VR, jaw drop experience.
So now you're going to tell us what this hoverboard is all
All right.
about. Because now you're talking
It
about
was
old people enjoying it and
fantastic.
we don't
The
know
first
what it
lesson
is.
of an elevator pitch is you talk about what you do in 3 sentences. I've just talked about VR because I'm excited about it. I guess that's
Yeah.
kind of
That's why
paints
you're
what we
sitting
are.
here.
Yeah, that's right. So okay, Visospace is here to become the Apple of the VR world or immersive technology. We want to bring the same type of easy-to-use interfaces into the immersive computing technology that will be necessary for the mass adoption of this as a useful tool. And so what we are looking at is things like hand interfaces. How do we actually interact with virtual objects that we see around us? Can we touch them, feel them? Can we build blocks together, collaborate, all
Yeah.
that stuff? that's in our pipeline in the future. That's what we're going to do. That's actually where we come from. We've been hand exoskeleton builders in the past, so we know that stuff really well, really hard tech stuff. We can talk about that another time. But our first product coming to the market is to solve the problem of moving around in virtual worlds. Because you put this headset on, whether it's a Google Cardboard or a high-end system like the Vive or Oculus, you see this incredible, vast, unlimited possibility around you, but you can't get to it.
Not more than 2 meters or 3 meters, whatever it is. Yeah.
So you can walk a little bit before the cable pulls. You can teleport by pointing your controller at something and pressing a button. It will, teleport you there, but it will break your immersion at the same time. Or you could use a joystick to move your body, and then you get sick because your body believes the experience so much. It says, why is my eye telling me that I'm moving, but my inner ear, vestibular balance system is telling me I'm stationary?
Yeah.
That disconnect makes people sick. So we tried to solve that problem in a fun way, and we came up with this hoverboard idea. There is treadmills around as well. There is foot controllers around as well. But this solution that we came up with is unique in the sense that it is actually not something you strap into, like the treadmills. It's a companion. So before you put your headset on, you've got this disc on the floor. It's a flexible disc you can actually stand on. But before you even stand on it, you have a look. It's on the floor. It's a meter in front of you. Then you put your headset on, and
so you're still seeing what you're using, which is important.
It is important because you connect to it physically and virtually.
Yep.
And it is where it is in real life, right? So you put your headset on. The hoverboard is now in front of you, but the whole world around you has changed. You are at the Taj Mahal, and so then you go and step on it within the experience, and you're moving to the board is still room scale, and it feels real. But when you get on it, the board vibrates, indicating it's turning on. And now when you shift your weight on the board, it actually moves you in that direction. But it accelerates in a physics, in a way that you using proper physics momentum, kind of that our brains are wired to accept.
Why do I have to wait till Friday? Can't I come now? Let's just can the show. We're nearly at the end of it anyway, so can I go?
And the coolest thing is that Puya was actually he offered to bring one here, and I said, no, look,
we won't do it.
If we got on there,
no, we'll come there.
We tried on Friday.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, what you've been able to do is take the immovability of a 3 degree of freedom VR experience and actually give you the complete ability to roam and move and pretty much do anything in that space.
Yeah, look, you mentioned 3 degree of freedom. That's actually a really important thing. I'll get back to that. But even with a 6 degree of freedom, you still have limited space, right?
Yeah.
So you can beyond the 2 minutes. So what it is really allowing you to have omnidirectional, full, free, unlimited movement, right? Then you can do whatever you want with it. So when we produce this device, it's going to be, we did a Indiegogo campaign. We sold a limited number, and we'll be shipping them out by October to just early adopters and developers with a plug-in SDK that they can then create their own experiences. Right?
Okay.
Just to start getting that feedback. But ultimately, what we see this is a tool for the home. Right? So you are adopting VR. You've got a headset of any kind, and you don't have much space at home.
Yep.
And so you just drop your Alto board. It's called the Alto. Drop it into your living room or bedroom, wherever you are, and you stand on it, and you got free access to the virtual world.
I want to just cut you off there for a second, and also just to clarify as well. Snip. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I have a picture in my head of a hoverboard, and it looks like a snowboard, right?
It's round.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a disc.
It's not, but that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to make sure that people realize, because everyone talks about a hoverboard, they see this like snowboard.
Back to the Future, right?
Correct. That's
or
this
worse.
isn't, which means you don't have to stand sideways, or you don't have to stand sideways, and you don't have to stand forward facing. You can stand however you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I wanted to stress that because I don't want people to see a hoverboard in the sense of a snowboard.
Yeah.
This is not about standing sideways and pretending you're surfing on or snowboarding. This is about movement, and because it's round, you can actually face anyway.
It's symmetrical, exactly.
Which is
And dating myself, and it would be.
Oh, careful now! He just
everyone.
called you in your 30s. You're saying in your 30s.
I know.
Or 40s.
That was
early
That was you.
30s.
Thank
See?
you. Oh,
That
thank
was
you
you.
very much.
Well,
You can
clearly
cut
wasn't me.
Unless you're late 20s, and I've just skipped the beard. I'm not sure.
That's just
There's no payment for this show, mate. So I can
that's
give up
just
now.
getting ridiculous. No, I was going to say, if anyone's seen the original Flash Gordon, and they get on
yeah,
those,
yeah,
those,
I think I did in the 90s.
Ming.
ski things, the ski things, and they're flying through the sky
That's
in the
right.
clouds. That's the closest thing I can imagine to describe what being on
Captain
on the outer board
America's
would be like.
shield.
Yeah, it'd be like standing
the
on
shield.
Captain's
It's more like a shield.
It's
Yeah.
like a shield, but it's that idea that you are standing on a disc. What's really important is that you have complete control of yourself, but what it allows you to do, and from a developer's perspective, is suddenly you're able to have a vehicle, and that
Yeah.
vehicle can be whatever that vehicle needs to be.
Yeah.
But it enables freedom of movement.
Yeah.
And this is the conversation before about breaking that veil of suspension of disbelief that movies try to do. If you're in the VR space and you have 360 immersive experience, whether you're in a film, or a mapped experience or a CGI experience, it doesn't really matter because you are able to then move and traverse, and you have a vehicle.
But the most important thing is you can get a really good phone and a Daydream headset, and you don't need to go and buy a Vive with a huge, big, fancy
Yep.
computer to drive it.
Yep.
Yes, the Vive and the graphics. I can already hear the little chirps going on in my head. Oh, but the graphics. I'm talking about just a VR experience. We're talking about your mom and dad who've never stood on before, have got no perceived ideas of what this could be. They put on a headset. They don't feel the cables. They don't have the heat process of a big Alienware Dell machine, and they actually go. They
Yep.
immerse.
You're absolutely
That's
right.
awesome.
Yes.
That's $100.
Well,
Boom. No, I'm saying for the headset.
for the headset.
Not
And
$1,800 for a computer.
And,
But
and look,
two-
our board as well will be around $200, so it's not
That's what
like
I'm saying.
astronomical,
Yeah.
right? And I just want to kind of point out what you just said very importantly, because I think that if there's a lot of work with with the big players in the market, focusing on make the resolution better, make the field of view better. What we are at right now is that I think we've got the minimum viable experience already, even with the phone experience.
Yep.
People really believe that kind of world around them, but they have to have a way of interacting with it. Otherwise, it's useless, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we should stop the focus on making the visual experience better and focus more on the interaction.
I agree.
What do we do with our hands? What do we do with our feet? What do we
Yep.
do with our movement? Your connection to the world right now, for 90% of your day, is your feet on the ground, your head, and your hands.
100%.
Right? And
Yeah.
so these are the things that we're trying to tackle at Visospace, in a nutshell.
I think that's an absolute recipe for success. And we've spoken about it so many times, is that as awesome as the technology is, I'm talking about XR as a science, it's still very limiting in cost, limiting access, and most importantly, limiting in content.
Yeah.
So now, with using this type of experience and with what you guys are doing, content can be created now that wouldn't have been thought of because people are thinking it
Exactly.
in the controlled environment as
Like-
opposed
like
to movement.
Totally. Like most experiences put out right now limit your movement on
Correct.
purpose because they don't want you to
They
make
don't
you
want you
sick.
to get sick or
Yeah.
fall over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just we are running out of, I know the time's very interesting conversation, but in terms of the near term, with the technology that's available, and really I think probably the easiest entry point is going to be Oculus Go,
Yeah.
if you don't have the high-end phone, and then either a Gear VR or Google Daydream.
Yeah.
What more we'll be able to do in terms of what you were just saying of being able to activate hands, beyond just the controller that comes with those devices?
What more?
Yeah, what's coming around the corner in terms of
right.
peripheral devices?
There's a whole bunch of glove devices out there,
Yep.
and they're mostly dealing with vibration in the fingertips, right?
Yep.
And that's a good start
Yeah.
because we get a lot out of those just kind of vibrotactile haptics. But what we're really interested in is not just the fingers, but the whole hand. Because when you pick up objects, you want to actually feel their weight. You want to stop your hand from going through walls and tables.
Yep.
Those are the things that kind of close that.
Yeah,
That's
you and I pick that up all the time as well because we're looking for it when we lose
Waiting
that
for it,
experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
anything that breaks your immersion, we want to try to fix that.
Which is
Yeah.
brilliant. We're definitely at the top of the hour. It's
Yeah.
like that. We're done.
I'd say that there's an opportunity for a part 2, and it's going to be after
Definitely.
we try this. And
Definitely.
I think that it would be worth potentially inviting Uncle Rick back.
Uncle Rick.
and have a chat.
We got to put one of the boards on a boat.
Oh,
Dude.
I don't know about that.
I'm just trying to
geez.
find an excuse to get on the boat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Puya, for
guys.
coming through. Where do we find you? Website?
Website,
Is-
viso.space. Couldn't be easy.
Viso.space.
VISO.space.
Okay.
Very easy. On
Twitter.
at Visospace.
Facebook.
At Visospace. At
Instagram.
Visospace.
Let me guess.
Yeah.
LinkedIn. At Visospace.
Visospace.
Oh, you see, I knew it. Look
Well
how
I made
good
it
I am.
easy for you. Do you
Well
want to
done.
you want to
Well
quickly
done.
know what Visospace means?
Tell me.
So it comes from the word visuospatial, which is a part of our brain that deals with space. Every single minute of your single millisecond of your day, you're creating a space around you in your head. So when you close your eyes, you still know that Aryeh is here and I'm here and there's a wall around you. That is not to be taken for granted. That's a function of your brain. And what VR does is tap into that. But then so do haptics and touch and movement.
So you and
And
I
that's-
just bringing it full.
Yeah.
That's
what we
very
tap
cool,
into.
huh? That's a good way to finish, man.
Excellent.
Definitely a part 2 coming up. Well, until next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode of The Technology Show. Remember, for more episodes, hop onto eaglewavesradio.com.au, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Catch you next time.